Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for standing by. Welcome to the Kura Sushi USA Inc. Third Quarter 2020 Earnings Conference Call. At this time, all participants have been placed in a listen-only mode, and the lines will be open for your questions following the presentation. Please note that this conference is being recorded today, July 14th, 2020. On the call today, we have Jimmy Uba, President and Chief Executive Officer, Koji Shinohara, Chief Financial Officer, and Benjamin Porten, Investor Relations Manager. I would now like to turn the conference over to Mr. Porten. Thank you. You may begin.
Thank you, operator. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining. By now, everyone should have access to our fiscal third quarter 2020 earnings release. It can be found at www.kurasushi.com in the Investor Relations section. A copy of the earnings release has also been included in an 8-K we submitted to the SEC. Before we begin our formal remarks, I need to remind everyone that part of our discussion today will include forward-looking statements as defined under the Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. These forward-looking statements are not guarantees of future performance, and therefore you should not put undue reliance on them. These statements are also subject to numerous risks and uncertainties that could cause actual results to differ materially from what we expect. We refer all of you to our recent SEC filings for a more detailed discussion of the risks that could impact our future operating results and financial condition. Also, during today's call, we will discuss certain non-GAAP measures which we believe can be useful in evaluating our performance. The presentation of this additional information should not be considered in isolation nor as a substitute for results prepared in accordance with GAAP, and the reconciliations to comparable GAAP measures are available in our earnings release. With that out of the way, I would like to turn the call over to Jimmy.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you everyone for joining us today. As most of you know, our restaurants have been largely closed during our fiscal third quarter. As a result, we would like to spend today's call providing you with an update on our business operations and initiatives. If you have specific questions about our third quarter financial results, we will be happy to answer your questions during Q&A. As we discussed on our last call, we entered 2020 with solid momentum across our restaurants that continued into January and February of this year. March was a challenging month across the restaurant industry as news about COVID-19 began to spread. On March 18th, as official guidelines switched to mandatory shutdown of in-restaurant dining, we made the difficult decision to close all our restaurants system-wide. From the start of the pandemic, our primary concerns have been the safety of our guests, the ongoing health and welfare of our team, our liquidity, and our ability to quickly and efficiently resume operations when the time was right. To support our team during this difficult time, we maintained payroll for all employees through April 5th and extended payroll for all kitchen employees through May 9th. We have also continued to pay the full cost of health insurance for all of our furloughed employees and stayed connected with our furloughed hourly team members throughout their absence. In addition to our store managers, critical kitchen staff members have remained on payroll, as we believe that the near-term expense of retention will be less than the potential of reduced sales due to understaffing. Finally, all store-level employees that were furloughed in April were eligible for a return bonus in June to further incentivize their return to Kura. These actions have allowed us to bring back our people quickly and open our restaurants with minimal delays. Thanks to our team engagement efforts, fewer than 10% of our employees left the company between the end of March to early July, which has positioned us to ramp up swiftly as indoor dining restrictions are lifted and seating capacity limitations are relaxed. As official restrictions have been lifted across the country, we have opened our restaurants promptly and successfully, however at reduced capacity in accordance with local government requirements. We began the reopening process on May 22nd, and by the end of May, we had reopened 7 of our restaurants. 14 additional restaurants were opened throughout June, and as of today, all Kura Sushi restaurants are open for business. However, as you are likely aware, Governor Newsom of California announced a restriction on all indoor dining on July 1st for a minimum of 3 weeks. As a result, All of our California stores, most of which had reopened with limited indoor dining, are currently open for to-go service only. We are now actively working on building out our off-premises business and infrastructure for all of our restaurants. We have taken a number of steps to create a safer environment in our restaurants, such as providing personal protective equipment for our team members, enhancing cleaning processes, maintaining social distancing, and performing team members' health checks before the start of each shift. The health and safety of our guests and team members will always be our top priority. As part of our checkout process, we have a customer survey which is now focused on our COVID-19 safety procedures. I'm pleased that by the end of June, we had received more than 15,000 guest responses, and over 96% rated our efforts as a 4 or 5 out of a 5-point scale. Considering our restaurants were closed during most of the third quarter, I would like to discuss some results for the month of June. Overall, we've been pleased with the initial results of our openings. However, as you might imagine, the suddenness of the reopening and closing policy changes in our various markets, as well as other COVID-19 related issues throughout the country, have made recent sales trends more challenging to assess. Due to our staggered reopening schedule in May and June, only 7 stores were open for the entire month of June. Of these 7 stores, 5 stores were in our comp base, and saw same-store sales declines of 48.6%, largely reflecting the 50% seating capacity restrictions for these stores. We are extremely encouraged by these comps, which we feel illustrate the strong consumer demand for our unique dining experience. We believe our reopenings are moving in the right direction, and reopening our dining room has allowed us to better manage our pandemic-related losses. Now, I would like to provide a brief update on our development efforts. As most of you know, we began the year with the expectation of opening 6 new restaurants in fiscal 2020. 2 new restaurants, Katy, Texas, and Glendale, California, opened during the fiscal Q2 prior to the temporary shutdown. However, as we mentioned during last quarter's earnings call, our opening schedule has been slowed due to the pandemic. 4 restaurants were under construction in mid-March: Fort Lee, New Jersey, Koreatown in Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., and Sherman Oaks, California. After a brief interruption, all 4 have resumed construction, and we have started work on our Bellevue, Washington site as well. Fort Lee and Koreatown are both very nearly complete, although their actual opening dates will depend on the coronavirus situation in their respective areas. During our temporary closures, we also completed renovations for 7 of our restaurants. By completing these renovations during the pandemic, we are able to avoid the sales losses associated with closures for renovations during non-pandemic periods. I would like to announce the latest addition to our executive team, Robert Kura, our first Chief Development Officer. Most recently, Robert was a Senior Vice President of Development for Blaze Pizza, where he oversaw the company's growth from 140 to 350 units. Prior to Blaze Pizza, he spent 6 years at Panera Bread, ultimately becoming their Senior Manager of Franchise Development, and 12 years at the Panda Restaurant Group, where he was Vice President of Real Estate and Strategy. Robert has been responsible for over 1,000 store openings with nationally successful brands, and we are incredibly excited about the impact we believe he can have on our long-term growth. Switching to our liquidity, despite the ongoing uncertainty, we are very fortunate to have entered this unique situation with a strong capital position. As of today, we have approximately $14 million in cash on hand and no debt. Our $20 million revolving line of credit from KRUS Japan remains secure. Although we have not borrowed any amount against it, we will likely begin tapping our revolver to fund our capital expenditures, during the upcoming fiscal year. We appreciate the support of Kura Japan and their confidence in the long-term success of our business. Considering Governor Newsom's announcement yesterday concerning additional COVID-19 prevention measures, which include more expansive dining prohibitions in California, it appears unlikely that we'll be able to reopen our California dining rooms prior to the end of our fiscal year. During our California dining room closures, we expect our weekly cash burn rate to be in the area of $800,000 to $850,000, which includes $400,000 of capex. Once we are able to reopen our California restaurants, we would expect this weekly burn rate to be reduced by approximately $50,000. Although we've been able to reduce our operating losses by reopening our restaurants, these gains have been offset by the additional capital expenditures associated with the construction of 5 new units previously mentioned. One final reminder, due to the uncertainty driven by COVID-19, we will not issue financial guidance for the remainder of fiscal year 2020 at this time. Thank you for joining us this afternoon and for your interest in KRUS USA. We were extremely excited about the potential of our business before the threat of COVID-19, and we remain equally confident that when this crisis passes, we have a long runway for opportunity ahead of us. Before we open the line for questions, I would like to thank all of our team members for their hard work, flexibility, and support as we navigate this uncharted territory. This concludes our prepared remarks. We are now happy to answer any questions you have. As a reminder, during the Q&A session, I may answer in Japanese before my response is translated in English. Please bear with us. Operator, please open the line for questions.
Thank you. At this time, we will be conducting a question and answer session. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. A confirmation tone will indicate your line is in the question queue. You may press star 2 if you would like to remove your question from the queue. For participants using speaker equipment, it may be necessary to pick up your handset before pressing the star keys. One moment please as we poll for questions. Our first question comes from the line of Andrew Strelzik with BMO. Please see with your question.
Hey, good afternoon. Hope everyone's doing well. My first question is just on the recent sales trends. It's helpful that you gave those June numbers, but I believe they were just the June numbers, and I'm curious if you could maybe give an update on the stores that have remained open for dine-in that are in the comp base, how the sales have trended since, or even those outside the comp base, kind of how the trajectory has been more recently.
Sure. Thank you, Andrew, for your question. Please allow me to answer in Japanese. まず、6月、7月の含んでのセールスのトレンドですけども、まず、50% のシーティングキャパシティしながらインドアダイニングを、オープン許可されているエリアに関しては、引き続き、シーティングキャパシティの 50% に近い、同じレベルのセームストアセールス、もしくは、コロナ前のセールスを維持できています。ここまでまずお願いします。
So looking at our performance over June and July, for the restaurants where we've been able to keep our dining rooms open with a 50% seating capacity limit, we've seen comps and sales levels be approximately half of pre-pandemic levels, or the past year, more or less mapping perfectly onto the capacity limits.
ただ、当然カリフォルニアは2ゴオンリーのオペレーションになっていますので、そこに関しては、やはり、COVID 前に比べると、やっぱり、低い数字になっています。
That being said, California is now currently, all of our restaurants in California are currently open for to-go only. So unfortunately, we have seen a sales decline in California relative to pre-pandemic.
Okay, that's very helpful. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
If I could just add a little bit more color, in terms of our to-go sales, one of the reasons that we decided to keep our to-go stores open this time, as opposed to March, is when we made our mid-March store closures, we kept a couple of our stores open for to-go only. But our June to-go sales, even for our stores that were open for indoor dining, were significantly outpacing those sales that we saw in March. And so we are seeing an upward trend in that respect.
Okay. So that brings me to my next question. I wanted to ask a little bit about the off-premise strategy generally. I mean, it seems like a little bit more of a push behind to go. How are you communicating that to the guests? I think you made some comments about some investments behind infrastructure there. Can you just talk about what that entails? And have you changed your view or thinking at all around delivery? I know it has not been a priority. I'm just curious where that fits in the to-go, in the off-premise picture for you at this point.
まず、中合とデリバリーに関する、考えから先に述べたいと思いますけど、引き続き、繰り返しですけども、我々のコアは、ダイニングエクスペリエンスだというふうにこれは、変わってません。
So, to sort of answer your last question first, we'd like to reiterate that the core of our business remains our indoor dining experience, and we believe that it's still very popular with our guests as demonstrated by our sales in our reopened dining room areas.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
なので、この3ヶ月間、ダイニングエクスペリエンスのインプルーメントを中心に注力してきました。ただ、一方、長期的な、通合やデリバリーでの、インクリメンタルセールス、もしくはプロフィットに備えて、自社での、通合のプラットフォームの、開発も進めてきました。ただ、やっぱり、時間がかかるということで、ここまでラウンジに追い立てない中、カリフォルニア・ニューソンの、新しい、ニューオーダーに至ったというような状況になっています。まずここまでお願いします。
So, as we mentioned in our previous earnings call, because of our focus being primarily on the indoor dining experience, the last 3 months we've focused on developing the projects that we've mentioned before, being the touch panel drink order system and the tableside payment system. And given that we've made significant progress on both of those, we've decided to shift our energies towards off-premises. And again, while we think of this as a long-term addition to our business, and if there's going to be incremental sales or profitability from that, there's absolutely no reason not to capture that.
なので、自社での開発進めたんですけども、やっぱり時間かかる。この間に7月だけのニュースのあれがなったので、やはり急遽、やはりキャプチャーしないといけないということで、今現状、フォーカスしようと思っているのは、まず一旦、サードパーティーでの、プラットフォームを利用すると。そこで、ラーニングプロセスとしてやっている一方、自社での、デリバリーのプラットフォームの開発も並行して続けるというような、考えでいます。
So in terms of infrastructure investments, our ultimate goal is to build out our own online ordering platform, which would ideally be hosted in an all-in-one package that would include our waitlist app, our rewards program, and then our online ordering system. That being said, given the the suddenness of the announcement from Governor Newsom has pushed the timeline forward, and now our top priority is to roll out online ordering capabilities as soon as possible. So we're thinking, just in the interest of time, that we're going to use this period, and we're going to use a third-party service to power our online ordering capabilities right now. It's going to be less profitable than having our own in-house ordering system, just because of service fees. But this is all we're treating all of this as like an investment. It's a learning process. We're all every day we're learning more things about how to operate off premises, and we're hoping that we can implement all of these new learnings into the development of our online ordering system.
最初のファーストクエスチョンに戻すと、こういった観点から、今現状では電話での受付のみになっているので、オンラインでのあれによって、お客さんのサティスファクションが改善すると思っています。
And so, in terms of your first question about advertising, right now our orders are limited to in-store orders or phone orders, and so the online ordering is the top priority because that would make things vastly more convenient, and it's easier to advertise as well.
Can you just I guess the question is where is takeout to go mixing right now, and what is kind of the break-even level there? Can you just give us any sense for how we should think about the economics of that piece of the business, and I'll leave it there.
Sure.
まず、6月に関しては、インドアオペレーションと並行しながらの結果ですけども、オプチュニティズミックスは 6.5%。で、カリフォルニアはまだ 9% 以上のお店が、半分以上ありました。ここまでお願いします。
So, looking at June, and this includes our restaurants that were open for indoor dining as well, our off-premises mix was 6.5%, which is, significantly higher than our historical mix, which is around 1%. Looking specifically at California, about half of our system had off-premise mixes of around 9% or more.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy.
Our next question comes from the line of James Rutherford with Stephens Inc. Please do with your question.
Hey, good afternoon, and thanks for taking the questions. My first one is just on the various kind of ways you can reopen for indoor dining. My understanding is that in certain cases you can open with the express belt only. In certain cases it has to be table service only. So I'm just curious what impact those different statuses would be, or those different levels of operations on your comps or average check, or really anything else that you care to speak to on that particular topic.
Sure. まず、いくつか要素はありますけども、アベレージチェックに関しては両方とも、もちろん値段が違うということ以外での、違いはありません。まずここまでお願いします。
So, in terms of average ticket, we haven't changed pricing as a result of not having the conveyor belts, but we've actually seen ticket growth year over year, which was a pleasant surprise for us.
で、あと、当然、エクスプレス使えるところと使えないところがあるんですけども、使えないところに関しては、手で運ぶので、その分、追加の人件費がかかっているということは事実です。ただ、これは、我々が好きでやってるわけではなくてですね、カリフォルニア大のリストリクションですので、フォローせざるを得ないというふうに考えています。
And so the most onerous restrictions in terms of conveyor belts are in California. And so in those markets, we're not operating our express belt, and we did have incremental labor from the additional servers we needed to hire to run the food. But as everybody's aware, California is closed for indoor dining now anyway, so it's kind of a moot point for us. One thing that was really interesting is that people were very understanding and forgiving of not having the conveyor belt slide just because it's the pandemic. But given that this is one of the signature features of our restaurant, we plan on bringing this back as soon as we think the timing is right. We don't want to lose something that's so core to our identity. I spoke to the customer service department, and I believe there's only one complaint, and that was because a family had driven 30, 40 minutes for the excitement of the conveyor belt, and they were a little bit disappointed that we weren't able to provide that. So if this use of the primary belt were to continue for a long time, we do think this would make us a little bit less attractive. But on the exact flip side, we think that the experiential nature really positions us as a destination restaurant.
Great, that's helpful. And then my second question is on development. Understanding there's a lot of moving pieces here, but I believe at one point you had said that the construction on a couple of the up-and-coming units are nearing completion. And so I'm just curious your view on the possibility that Fort Lee or Koreatown would open this fiscal year, or if those would be more likely to open kind of next year and beyond.
Sure. まず、両方の店の状況ですけれども、フォートリーに関しては今、ファイナルインスペクションを残すだけの状況になって、コンストラクション終わっている状態。で、コリアタウンに関しても、もうコンストラクション終わってて、あと、いくつかの、インスペクションを受けるだけの状態になっています。ただ、両方ともの店、ご存知の通り、インドアダイニングが、リストリクションがありますので、これ次第だと思っています。ただ、2店舗両方っていうか、どちら、1店舗もしくは、来期に持ち越すっていうようなのが、今考えている状況です。
So, in terms of the construction, both Fort Lee and Koreatown in Los Angeles are completely completed. Fort Lee just has its final inspection to go through. Koreatown is actively going through the inspection process, and so these stores are largely ready to open. Although, again, as everybody knows, both in Fort Lee or New Jersey generally, in California, indoor dining is prohibited, and so the gating factor for opening those stores remains, these externalities. And that being said, we are hopeful that we'll be able to open at least one of these stores this fiscal year. But again, this is going to depend on the indoor dining restrictions being lifted.
もう一個ちょっとここで付け加えたいのが、我々が新店オープンするかどうかって一つのこれだけではないですけど、一つの大きな基準で言うと、50% のシーティングキャパシティというところがOKであれば、 今のところ、我々さんではプロフィタビリティの観点から改善すべきというふうに考えています。これをお伝えしておきたいと思います。
So we just wanted to give you some context behind the thinking around our store openings during the pandemic. And our calculations have indicated that as long as we're able to open at a 50% seating capacity limit, we will be able to, secure restaurant level operating profit from those stores. And so as long as we can have it, so that's one of the major considerations in terms of the opening timing for a given store.
Great. Thank you, Jimmy, Koji, and Ben. I appreciate it.
Thank you, James.
Thanks, James.
Our next question comes from the line of Peter Saw with BTIG. Please see with your question.
Great. Thanks for taking the question. I just wanted to come back to the cash burn real quick. Looks like you guys burned through about $10 million or so of cash over the course of the quarter. And if I heard you correctly, I think you're burning another, call 800 to 850. I believe that was a weekly number that you guys provided. So, what is the thought process behind, the cash burn? If this environment continues longer than, another, call it 3 months, how do you guys plan to address that? And will we see a slowing of development? Will you put a halt on development to kind of ease the cash burn, or will you tap revolvers to kind of move forward on development?
Thank you, Peter. まず最初に言っておきたいのが、このレベルのキャッシュバーンレートが次のネクスト12マンス、4クォーター分続くとは我々考えてません。これは先に明確に申し上げておきます。
So we just want to make it really clear that the weekly cash burn we gave during the prepared remarks are not, they're near term. We do not expect that cash burn rate to continue for the next 12 months.
というのも、もう一度ちょっとリマインドしておきますけども、このキャッシュバーンレートというのは、我々の 65% の売り上げを占める14店舗の、カリフォルニアの店が、to go のみしかできないという条件と、あともう契約してしまっている新店、もう5店舗を今、同時進行でやっていると。この2つの、ネガティブな要因がある中でのキャッシュバーンレートですから、これが4クォーター続くというのはちょっと考えられないというふうに思っています。で、当然、どっかで、50% が解除されたり、あとは、どっかで、新店のところをスローダウンすることがあれば、もう十分、改善する余地はあると思っています。またそういうプランでおります。
So there are a couple of pressures on our cash burn rate. The first one would be that this burn rate reflects, our 14 stores in California not being able to offer indoor dining. And so that is, a downward pressure on our revenue. The other would be that we've resumed construction on 5 new units. And so, we have a lot of capital expenditures because, we've already executed these leases. These are in mid-construction before, but, the capital expenditures that remains a lever that we can pull at any point. And the CapEx represents about $400,000 of that burn rate. So that would be a very material lever for us to pull. And then in terms of the dining capacities, we think it's extremely unlikely that, indoor dining will be not allowed for 4 months or 4 quarters. We're hopeful that it's going to be, shorter than that, so that pressure from the burn rate to be lifted as well when that happens.
なので、当然、ただもし我々が想定しているようなことが起これば、キャペックに関しては我々が 100% コントロールできるものなので、しっかりコントロールしてやっていきたいと思っています。
So again, in terms of managing the burn rate, the CapEx is something that is completely within our control, and so it is also the most material bucket, and so we think there is a lot of room in terms of our burn rate going forward if the situation were to get worse or it became clear that it's going to go on much longer than initially expected.
Understood. Okay, and I appreciate that you guys gave the takeout mix, I think in June, or the off-premise mix, if you will, but can you quantify that in dollars? Because I know there's a lot of moving parts here with pre-pandemic and post-pandemic AUVs. So can you quantify what the actual maybe dollar weekly sales were, per restaurant in any way on off-premise?
So we're Go ahead, sorry.
まずちょっとダラーアマウントをちょっと今提供するのは、ちょっとやっぱりまだ2週間で広告とかもできてない部分があるので、ちょっと避けたいと思ってます。まずここまでつけてくれるかな。
So in terms of absolute numbers, for July, we've only been operating for to-go only for a couple weeks, and so, our advertising pushes haven't really begun in earnest, and this isn't necessarily reflective of where this can go. And in terms of June, just the nature of our staggered schedule means that staggered reopening schedule means that every single restaurant is, a different number of operating days. And so giving you an absolute number for June as well would also not necessarily give you a meaningful look into, what we can do in the future.
ただ、モデリングの観点から、ある程度のレンジというか、あれでいきますと、店によっても大きな差があるんですけども、プレコービット前で言うと、10% から 20%、それぐらいのところで、大きく推移しています。ここぐらいまでのレンジは言っててください。
That being said, in terms of your modeling purposes, we do believe that we'll be able to capture 10 to 20% of our pre-pandemic sales through off-premises.
Okay. Very helpful. Okay, just last question. Are you seeing or getting any sort of rent concessions or any opportunities to lower your rent expense from landlords? Are you seeing any of that yet?
まず、これは、ロバートを含め、デベロップメントチームのエフォートなんですけども、当然、4、5、6と、お店のオープンが、7と、お店のオープンがどんどん増えていく一方、モデストなレベルですけども、アベイトメントですとか、あとは、半分近くのデファードが、今ついてますと。非常に、彼らが頑張ってくれていると思っています。
So our development team has been working very hard on this, and having our new CDO, Robert Kluger, join us has been, huge, immensely helpful. We're very happy that he's on our team. And so we've been in ongoing negotiations since April. We've negotiated for April, May, June, and we're currently negotiating for July. But for both May and June, we received modest abatements and then deferrals representing approximately half of the cash rent expense.
ここでちょっと、注釈ですけれども、PL レベルで言うと、アベントメントですとか、デファードがあったとしても、それくらいで計算しているので、PL レベルで言うと、これは数字には現れてきませんと。これちょっと言ってくれ。
So one thing we'd like to note is that because we book our rent on a straight line basis, this is not going to, these deferrals are not going to be reflected on a P&L level.
Understood. All right. Thank you very much. That's all I got.
Thank you, Peter.
Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. Our next question comes from the line of Jeremy Hamblin with Craig-Hallum. Please do with your question.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for taking the questions and providing so much color. I wanted to just start with thinking about your average location and the level of sales, like on an average weekly sales level that you need to break even. I think you said that you'd open if you had 50% seating capacity, but if you were to make that more granular and just look at the average weekly sales volume that you needed to do to break even at a restaurant level, could you give a range on where that would be?
まず、ごめん。まず 50% で、我々 3.5 平均で、50% ですから 1.75。で、12で割るんで、大体どれぐらいですかね。ウィークリーというか、マンスリーで言うと、15万ドルぐらいが、取れれば、十分、ブレイクイーブンになるというふうに、そうレベルでは考えてます。これまでちょっと言ってくれるかな。
So, our pre-pandemic AUVs are $3.5 million. If we're able to secure half of pre-pandemic sales levels, that brings us to about a monthly revenue of $150,000, which would allow us to break even.
Great, that's helpful. And then thinking about cash burn and moving forward, and the 5 restaurants under construction, I just wanted to confirm that excludes Fort Lee and Koreatown.
That doesn't include Koreatown and Fort Lee. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, okay. That's helpful. As we think about, I know this is such a fluid situation and it's hard to forecast, but thinking ahead to fiscal 21, and the unit growth rate that you've maintained, is there a threshold on cash that you need to think about? We're going to back off the CapEx for new unit construction because, this is just a prolonged recovery that we hit, whether it's, something that you're, below, $8 million, let's say, on your cash and you still haven't tapped your revolver. Is there a total level of liquidity where you say, at this point, we want to make sure that we have ample liquidity. We don't want to get, in a situation where this is carrying on longer and we're not going to develop new units. Is there kind of a level or a range that you have in mind to before you make that difficult decision?
まさに、ジェレミーが言ってた通りでして、まず我々この場で、今おっしゃった通りのことを考えながら、進めていく、調整しながら、進めていくと思います。ただここでちょっと一つ言えるのが、引き続きこの5年でのこの 20% 経過、ここに関しては、十分達成レベルであるということを見込んでいるということを、お伝えしておきます。
So, Jeremy, that's really been, top of the mind. I imagine it's top of the mind for, pretty much any other, player in the restaurant industry, and it's certainly guiding our thinking and our development strategy going forward. One thing that we can say is that we're very confident that we'll be able to meet or beat the 20% unit growth CAGR that we've been discussing in the past.
で、あと、ここでちょっと一つ、我々の考えちょっとお伝えしておきたいのが、我々のこの出店戦略、他社と比べて少しアグレッシブかもしれませんけども、大きく2つ、理由がありますと。一つは、親会社からの強力なファイナンシャルサポート。二つ目が、今回オープンしたことで判明した、50% のシーティングキャパシティでも、新店でもですね、このレストランレベルオペレーティングプロフィットがしっかりプロフィットを、プラスにできるというところ、この二つの確認が取れたというのが一つ大きな我々の判断の根拠となっています。なので、これらが崩れた場合はもちろん、考え直すということです。
So, in terms of, we realize that our development strategy is more aggressive in comparison to the rest of the restaurant space right now. But we have two main things that are really working in our favor and is driving us forward. And one is the ongoing financial support from the parent, and their very strong financial position. And the other would be that our calculations have indicated that we're able to capture restaurant level operating profit as long as we're able to open it 50% or more. And so, if one of these factors were to no longer be true, then we would certainly reevaluate.
Understood. That's helpful. Last question is, you've been, I think, very generous relative to your public company restaurant peers in how you've managed your staff, providing, full healthcare benefits and really, have waited, to furlough, really any, employees, for extended periods. Is that another, situation that you would reevaluate at some point? How much of your staff is furloughed at this point? But how do you make, that decision moving forward as well?
まず、これらの判断というのは、基本的に、やっぱり、我々がリテンションにリテンションによって、プリペアドリマックスもお話ししました。リテンションですることによるこのオープニングの遅れよりも、やっぱり一日も早くリオープンすることによる、プロフィットの方が大きく勝るという、そういった、ファイナンシャルからの判断が、大きなものです。まずここまでお願いします。
Just to give you some context on the reasons why we were, more generous than some of our peers, this was a financially strategic move by us where we believe that being able to maintain high retention rates and being able to, reopen immediately when it was the right time to do so, or reopen at the exact timing where we wanted to be able to reopen and capture those profits without having to worry about understaffing. The profits we'd be able to capture were more meaningful than the near-term expense cost.
ただ、4月5日までの、全員への保証に関しては、これは、ご存知の通り PPP ローンのフォーギブネス、これを、想定したものではあります。これはちょっと、今、リマインダーとして追加しておきたいと思います。
And just as a reminder, our lack of furloughing anybody until early April was predicated on the assumption that we would be receiving the PPP loan.
なので、当然、今現状、大きく変わってますから、その時から比べると、やはり多少のそういったコンペンセーションの保証のレベルっていうのは、それに応じたものになってますと。今、もうすでにチェンジしてます。変更してます。
And then, the situation obviously changed and continues to change, so there's been a pretty material difference. So, in May, we did another significant furlough of kitchen employees. We brought them back in June, but, July, the number of shifts that we need has been significantly cut in California, and so, not every employee is working right now, but the cash support is, largely done.
Great. Thanks for taking the questions, guys, and providing all the detail. Best wishes for getting back to normal business soon.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Our final question comes from the line of George Kelly with Roth Capital. Please see with your question.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for taking my questions. So just two for you. First, I understand there's all sorts of barriers and kind of issues with getting your guests into a seat. But my question, you mentioned on in response to another question that average ticket has grown, and I was just wondering if you could expand on that. And what's kind of changed versus February with an average customer? How is, as an average guest, how do they look? Are they cautious in general, or just what have you seen?
まず、アベレージチェックのグロスに関しては、これは確かに上がったんですけども、具体的に明確な要因があるレベルではないので、そこまで大きな意味ではないと、まず見てますと。あともう一つ、アベレージのサイズ、お客さんの人数に関してですけど、これは、モレストなレベルの、減少が見られてます。これはやはり大きな5人、6人のグループが減ったということが、影響していると思います。ここまでお願いします。
Sure. So, in terms of the average ticket, while we have seen an increase, we haven't been able to draw a direct conclusion behind what's driving it. In terms of what our guest looks like, we've seen a modest shrinking of our average party size. We're no longer seeing, large parties of 5 or 6, and so that's been driving that. It's possible that fewer kids are coming because, there are fewer large parties, and, children bring down average tickets. And so not having as many children could be one of the reasons that I've heard.
Okay, gotcha. And then second question for me is just about your development pipeline. So you mentioned the 20% CAGR, but I was just wondering if you could be more specific for fiscal year 21. And can you talk about any of the sites that you're continuing to, you mentioned Washington, D.C. and Sherman Oaks, but what else is on are you continuing to invest in it with plans 2021 open?
まずちょっと21のオープンに関してはまだ比較的引き続き流動的であります。なのでこの今いくつか状況を整理しますと、今我々10店舗契約済みの店舗があります。これを今期1店舗か0か。あと、来期、あと再来期、この3つのフィスカルイヤーに分けて、このキャッシュバーンレートとか、あとは、業績の回復とか、これらに応じて切り分けていくっていうような状況であるということを、まず最初にお伝えしておきます。
So, as some context for everything, we'd like to go over how, right now, we have 10 leases that are executed. We expect to open one of those 10 stores, this fiscal year. And then for the remainder to be distributed over fiscal 21 and fiscal 22. And the pacing and the distribution is going to depend on what our burn rate looks like as a result of how we get as a result of our sales recovery.
それで、あと、この名前を挙げた5店舗以外に契約済んでいる店舗で、来期オープンする可能性があるところで言うと、アベンチュラ、フロリダ、トロイ、ミシガン、あと、ソンスタン、ギャラリア、サンフランシスコ。この3つのうち何店舗かが、FY21 に入ってくる可能性はあると思います。
And then looking directly towards fiscal 21, beyond the fiscal 21. Beyond the 5 stores that are actively under construction now, we think these 3 stores would be the likeliest candidates for a fiscal 21 opening, which would be Aventura, Florida, Troy, Michigan, and then the Stonetown Galleria Mall in San Francisco.
Okay, great. That's helpful. And I guess I do have one follow-up to that.
Sure.
Any significant changes, as you think of just an average, your average store in the construction, does all this COVID-related stuff cause you to rethink any of that what the box looks like?
ごめん、コンストラクションコストのことかな、ベン。
いや、そのコストの変化によって、面積など、レイアウトを変える計画があります。
OK。フットプリントに関してはやはり20年での戦略になるので、今現状、大きな変化はありません。ただ、やはり中合の、これからの結果によりますけれども、やや中合フレンドリーな、例えば、フロントハウスでの受け渡し口があるとか、バックハウスにステーションを設けるとか、そういった少しのチェンジは変更するかもしれません。
So, every construction we do is a 20-year investment, given the 20-year leases, and the pandemic is not going to last 20 years. So we're a little bit reluctant to make, construction-related changes related to the pandemic. That being said, and this was already part of our planned pipeline, but we are testing new models that are designed more towards off-premises, whether that means a dedicated make line in the kitchen or pickup racks in the front of the house. So that would be the main change that we're considering.
ただコストレベルで言ったらそこまで変わりません。
And on a cost level, there's not going to be a material difference between a to-go, a traditional store and a store that's geared more towards to-go.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
This concludes today's question and answer session, and I would like to turn the floor back over to Mr. Jimmy Uba for any closing remarks.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Please take care and stay safe. Thank you very much.
This concludes today's teleconference. You may now disconnect your lines at this time. Thank you for your participation, and have a wonderful day.